feature. So you'll be asked right now if you give permission to be a part of the Zoom that is being recorded, but we want to record it so you can review it at a later time as well. So I'll do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Deb Shepard. I'm a curriculum specialist with McGraw-Hill. Actually did a lot of my teaching in the Bay Area. I worked in Livermore for many years and then also Sunnyvale. I now live in Ontario, California. So in the Zoom world, I'm about as close to you as I can possibly be through that computer, but obviously quite a distance away. And because I'm coming in from the Zoom world and in my house at this time, I apologize if Holden or my three-legged Aria bark during our time together. They try to be really good, but they just get excited when they hear me talking through a Zoom. It seems to be right when they get set off to have a little bit of barking time. They'll sleep all day, I'm on a Zoom, and then they will start their barking. So once again, apologies ahead of time. As I said, this is a pretty quick introduction to California Wonders, and really what the goal of today is to look at some of those changes that you're going to find in your teacher edition, and then definitely some changes that we're going to find online. So what we're going to focus on today is the instructional changes that are found in California Wonders from the 2014 Wonders. We're going to highlight some key online changes and updates, and of course, get excited about California Wonders. That's our big picture there. So we're going to have about a half hour together, and then the last 5 minutes or so, you'll have time to go ahead and put information into the Google Doc that was shared with you. Because we have such a large group, 137 on this call right now, and it's so short and sweet with our time together. If you have questions or want some more information from beyond the time that we have together today, go ahead and put that in that Google Doc as well. And then at the very end in the chat, I will put my email address. So if you want to reach out to me with any questions you might have as we move closer to the school year or the end of this year, feel free to do so. So that's going to be kind of our big picture right now. So like I said, I wanted to start off with the teacher edition, and then we'll go online and look at some online changes. The first thing that I wanted to point out was really the instructional changes that are happening in California Wonders in your teacher edition. So the first one that we're going to see is really the introduction of the weekly overview. So if you have your teacher edition, feel free to open it. If you'd rather just look at my slides, feel free to do it that way as well. But the really first big change we'll see is on T3, where we're talking about the weekly overview. So a few things that have been updated and changed, because this is a California specific program, is the left-hand side looks a little bit different, but kind of the same concept. The reading writing workshop book is still there to teach and model. You can practice and apply in a variety of ways. You have the anthology with the anchor text and the compare text. You have your leveled readers that will connect to the reading writing workshop. But on the right-hand side is where you'll see your first difference, and that is because this is based on the California framework. So on the right-hand side, you see student outcomes. These student outcomes are designed within the 5 themes of our California framework. So you'll see outcomes referencing making meaning, language development, effective expression, foundational skills, and if it's an informational week, that content knowledge. With that content knowledge, it will have a reference to either your NGSS or your history social science standards. So once again, this is the California program, so you're going to be seeing references to the standards that we use here in California. So that's change number 1 that I wanted to point out within that Wonders Teacher Edition. The second change I want to point out is the instructional routine that is now part of California Wonders. And its instructional routine actually starts in kindergarten. I know I have my 2-5 group here, but it really is a routine thinking about close reading. So how students read to make meaning. That's our first glance. That's our first read there. We then reread with purpose and intent to get a deeper knowledge of a deeper understanding of knowledge. That's why it's DOK 2 to 3. We then at the ultimate part of it all, and this is really like the summation of the entire week, we integrate, and those are our DOK 4s where we're going to apply that knowledge. So this isn't in the teacher edition. I just wanted to introduce you, or it's in the teacher edition, I should say, embedded within all the instruction, but I wanted just to introduce you up front first to the close reading routine that we're going to be looking at now that we're diving in more to the teacher edition. So we read to make meaning, reread to go deeper in understanding, and then we integrate to share what we've learned. So one of the places you'll see it is just that following page within the introduction of the weekly planner is the instructional pathway. So in the instructional pathway, this is a new look where we're going to have these steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the idea is we introduce and we talk with that reading writing workshop still. When we get into that shared read, we read and reread. We write about what we've read. So we'll look at writing to sources. We then practice and apply those skills to longer texts. And those longer texts are in that anthology. And then this is a new resource that we'll look at it. You'll have this digitally called the Close Reading Companion that helps students with the rereading and the integrating of the stories. And then we integrate our knowledge and apply it. The writing has changed a bit too, where we're really developing readers and writers and writing to sources. So we're looking how we're writing to sources within that reading writing workshop the first couple days. And then we move into that anthology where we're writing to 2 sources and applying that the skills and strategies of that weekly writing to those 2 sources. You've had the genre writing before. It's still in the back of the teacher edition. That has not changed. The other thing that's been updated is your actual suggested lesson planner. The ELD is actually referenced right here on the planner itself. So you still have the whole group and small group, but on the bottom, that designated ELD will be referenced, that California ELD resource that you all have. Beyond that, when it comes to EL support, the following page will also have something that's new, and that's talking about the integrated ELD and the designated ELD. We know in California, these are the terms that we use. Integrated as you're doing the reading of Wonders. Integrated is that specialized time with that ELD program. So it will really nicely say what you're doing in integrated EL support within Wonders and where you're headed within that designated ELD for that same week. So a really nice connection between integrated and designated ELD in this California Wonders. That's what you're going to see and I'm not going to walk you through the whole teacher edition. I'm just putting out some highlights and then we're going to go online. But that's what you will see when you go through the teacher edition. Your EL scaffolds will be for emerging, expanding, and bridging, our language levels here in California. And you will also see on the bottom of there our ELD standards being referenced. So that is that support for that integrated ELD throughout the teacher edition. Now, as I said, a big change is that close reading routine. So whether you're in the reading writing workshop, the shared read, or whether you're in the literature anthology, you'll be seeing a reference to this read, reread, and integrate. So for example, I just have 4th grade as an example here. We're doing that close reading from that reading writing workshop book. And we have very clearly labeled within the instruction, the close reading routine. And in fact, on the top of this page, it even lets me know instructionally where I am in that routine. I'm doing that read. So that's that first read to go ahead and make meaning, get details, ideas. The following pages you'll see for the mini lessons that develop the strategies and skills of comprehension that focus on rereading. So rereading with purpose and intent, that's going to be that second phase within that close reading routine. Okay. Same thing for the selections in the anthology. Same thing. Read, reread, integrate. And what you'll find within the part of the actual anthology instructional support is you'll see along the actual the sides focusing, is this a read part? Are we rereading for a deeper understanding? So even the questions are differentiated. And because the questions are differentiated between read and reread, It also provides questions that provide different depths of knowledge. So you'll see that support for those DOK levels throughout, whether you're doing the read or if you're focusing on the reread. All right, so you'll see that focus just along the columns there, that read to that reread. Now, another thing I want to point out, and I have a page number up here if you wanted to look at your teacher edition, really at the end of that anthology was being referenced. There's a new resource that's being referenced called the Close Reading Companion. And that is being referenced to help our students learn how to reread text with purpose and intent and text-dependent questions. As I said, it's going to be a digital resource. We'll look at it pretty shortly. I'm going to wrap up the teacher edition pretty shortly so we can go spend a good portion of our time online. But this resource is really set up to help our students learn how to reread. So in this resource, like I said, that you'll have digitally and that will automatically be in the student's book bag. All right, the students will automatically have this Close Reading Companion each and every week within their own platform. It's not something I have to assign. It's going to automatically be there for them. So the Close Reading Companion does the following. It is a companion to the anthology. So if you're taking notes and you're seeing this word companion, it's a companion to the anthology stories. All right. So the Close Reading Companion, what it will do is it will provide text-dependent questions for the students to reread the anthology selections. This is The Princess and the Pizza. So fourth grade teachers, this is familiar. So this resource will have a text-dependent question, like how does the author help you understand how Paulina's new life is different from her old life? Then it will do a really great little scaffold along the way. We ask students to talk and look at this. When you talk about it, reread the second paragraph on page 12 to 13. It is very specific to go back into text and provide those scaffolds of how to reread. Turn to a partner. Then it's going to say, cite the evidence and ultimately write the answer to the question. And you'll see that there's even a sentence starter to starting that writing opportunity. It's just one way that we have some more writing within Wonders, California Wonders. So a little chant I did with students: we talk, we cite, we write. We talk, we cite, we write. So we're going back to close reading. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking, citing, and writing. So that's going to be a chant that students would go ahead and do chants with me. Okay, it's time to reread. What are we going to do? Talk, cite, write. Perfect. That's what we're going to be doing as we go back to reread. Okay, so we're rereading that anchor text in that anthology. All right, The Princess and the Pizza. The second thing the Close Reading Companion does, and I can see a lot of you taking notes, so I want to make sure I'm really clear with this. The second thing it does is that compare text in the anthology. It is written out within the Close Reading Companion. So it's not necessarily the full compare text, but it's a good portion of it. And what we do when we reread that compare text in the anthology is we teach students how to annotate. Reread paragraph 2. Talk with a partner. Underline phrases that tell what Tomas does all day. Circle phrases. I'm fortunate enough to have my 2 kids graduated from college at this point. But when my eldest came back, she was a highlighter happy individual. You know those students, you give them a highlighter and they will highlight absolutely everything possible that they can see. I know when buying used textbooks, I didn't want a highlighter happy individual to buy that textbook from because I didn't know what information was important within that text. So like I said, I'll show you how to do this digitally. This is a digital resource, but it really does support the rereading of the literature anthology. The last thing that happens in the Close Reading Companion, and this is the culmination of the week, is we ask the students to integrate what they've learned. It's a built-in performance task. It's a built-in assessment in the sense that we're taking what the students have learned through their stories and we're applying it to something new. That's something new with integrate. This happens to be a poem. Integrate can sometimes be art. It could be songs. We're taking what our students have learned from their stories, The Princess and the Pizza and Tomas and his sons, and apply it to something new. It's such a beautiful, natural application to go deeper DOK4s for our students. So like I said, we'll go online very shortly and I will show you exactly where it is and how it looks. Okay. Two more things that I want to highlight about the changes in your teacher edition. One is to do with writing, and that's the writing to sources. So in your teacher edition, there'll be a focus on teaching our students how to get evidence from the story they just read and put it into a short writing piece for the reading and writing workshop, and then a writing piece, like a paragraph, to the two selections in the literature anthology. You have graphic organizers online that provide how to get text evidence for the students. There's instructional support on really helping our students get that textual evidence. The Your Turn practice books that you will be getting as a class set, those have support pages for writing on how to work on the skills and text evidence that we're doing. So the writing to sources is all about analytical writing. That is what we're doing with the writing to sources. It's developing the analytical writing for our students. The last thing I'm going to highlight within your teacher edition before we go online is going to be integrate ideas. Now you have something like that within the Wonders that you're using right now, but it's slightly different this time. So what happens now with the integrate ideas is we're referencing that close reading routine. We're making sure we're going to DOK4s. We're going to make sure that there, yes, you can use, the options are there still. Your foldables are there that you can use. Pardon me, hold on 1 second. You could have a barking dog if you like to integrate ideas. That was in actually California Wonders is, like I said, the foldables. There's reference to that close reading companion that we'll look at digitally as part of the integrate ideas. When I showed you that integrate ideas with that poetry, take what you've read this week and the strategies and how the texts were written and apply it to that something new. That's that integrate that's being referenced within that close reading companion. So that is something that will be different within your California Wonders teacher edition. On top of that, my 3rd through 5th grade teachers, there is, starting in unit 2, there is something called inquiry space. So every grade level has that research and inquiry for the entire units, right? So everyone has that research and inquiry that we see with integrate ideas. But starting in 3rd grade, there's something different for units 2, 3, and 4. And I have the notes up there on my screen for you to be able to view it. What we're going to do is we're going to teach students how to do a performance task. So yes, there are assessments that have performance tasks. Those are there. But what inquiry space actually does is teaches the students how to do a performance task. 4, informative for unit 2. Unit 3 is opinion. Unit 4 is narrative. It actually is the same genres as the genre writing that you have in the back of the teacher edition. I'm going to show it to you online real quickly to show you. So this is the California platform and the heading should look the same. I'm going to highlight some things that are different, like I said, but under writing and research, there's a new section and it is called inquiry space. Like I said, that's for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Unit 2, 3, and 4. And the reason they're in that units is so that we can instructionally teach this prior to SBAC and CASP. So that's why they're housed in units 2, 3, and 4. What inquiry space is, it is a digital resource where students are given an actual performance task. So I'm going to click on this, and this is the student's performance task for 4th grade. You volunteer at a local aquarium. Your mentor has asked you to give a multimedia presentation on sharks. Here's the audience. Now, if you look at the levels here, each level could be a week, right? So there's 6 weeks in every unit. So you can do a level a week when it comes to writing this performance task. When the students press got it, what Inquiry Space will do is it has built-in videos on how to do a performance task for each type of writing. So along this way, I'm on level 1, I'm analyzing the task. Level 2 is going to be evaluating sources, taking notes, outlining, editing, and publishing and presenting. So I'm going to go back to here. And if you can see this, there is a different color here. I don't know how much it pops on the Zoom, but the word purpose and audience is a light blue versus a black. So when students click on that, here is a video that teaches students what is the purpose of informational writing. So all of these that are in the light blue are actually little videos to teach the students the aspect of the task. Skim and scan sources. This is awesome because, let me just go to the word go. All of the resources needed to do the performance task is actually built into Inquiry Space. So students aren't going to a third party. I see a thumbs up from Monique. They're not going to a third party to try to find something. They're actually all embedded in a very safe environment where students have to look at it. Is it a reliable source? Yes or no? So as I go through this, like I said, it's kind of a short and sweet, big picture for you today. But Inquiry Space will walk through each aspect of doing a performance task, including the sources they use to do the performance task all in one place. The second thing that I will show you, and then I'll wrap this up for Inquiry Space, is in the toolkit, one of the teeth. These are all the videos in one place on how to do that performance task. It's a very nice school to home connection for parents as well to see how do we go about doing this performance task. And it just puts all the videos in one place. All right, so that is something new and different as well. All right, so I want to take a little time with that Inquiry Space in developing our students as performance taskers. I'll make that, there we go. Performance taskers. The other thing that I want to do is now move online to continue the online differences. All right, so I'm going to highlight just a few things in our time together. And so the first thing was that Inquiry Space that I wanted to highlight. Okay. The second thing that I want to highlight is the assessment is different. The assessment, because the California program, will mimic the SBAC. All right, so our assessments will mimic the SBAC. And so what I want to do right now is go online and just show you how to get to the assessments, to show you a little bit about the assessments that are part of California Wonders. So these headings, like I said, should look the same. More information, more categories are underneath the headings. That's going to be the big difference. In fact, if I go to assessment and data, there's a lot more different things that you can do with assessment and data. I'm going to show you one thing that is really, really new. I could put one more really in there because within the last 6 months it's come out, is online reading fluency. So if you're a teacher that does that oral fluency, but you want to keep all your information in one spot, you can do this through the Wonders platform now. The students are still reading it in their print, okay, or however you're doing it. They're still reading it that way, but what it becomes for you is a portfolio for each student when their attempts are. So as a student is reading this passage, you can keep track of it digitally. Mark where mistakes were made, mark things along the way, stop it, mark down the last word, make a note, and save attempts. So you can have every attempt a student made within oral fluency in one place. So it becomes a really nice portfolio and really, quite frankly, a great tool to share with parents because you can get reports of that oral fluency. How is your class doing? How is an individual student doing? You can print that up and give it to a parent. So it's a really nice communication tool as well. It's great that it's in one place for you, but it's a great communication tool for you and the parents as well. So that's the oral fluency that is online as part of our digital. So that, everyone, is an assessment and data. Okay, and that oral fluency is that last thing listed. Now I want to get back to more of the weekly unit benchmark assessments. So the assessments are housed in the Assessment and Data Center. And as you can see here, here's my online assessments, here's rubrics, a built-in grade book. You can print these up if you'd like, but let me go to the Online Assessment Center just to show you a bit about the assessments. Okay, everything you do within the Assessments of Wonders will be housed right here. If you assign it, it's here. And if you customize it, it's here. So this is all going to be housed in one place. So I'm going to go to my test library and I'm going to open up my tests. So I could see that I have my ELD tests in all one place. There are selection tests, which are tests based on the story that are here from the anthology. And I have all of my Reading Wonders grade 4 assessments. So I go to my assessment, my online assessment center. It's right here for me. I can go to my test library and there's all my tests. In other words, my tests. So I'm going to go here to grade 4 and I'm going to go to the weekly assessment. So this is an order of your weekly assessments, weekly and unit assessments. So I can turn through here page by page, weekly, the approachings, the lower readability, right? And then the weekly assessment, same grade level skills. So as I do this, let me just go ahead and preview one. So just like with everything else you've been doing in Wonders, this cogwheel allows you to do things with a resource, just like how you've been using it. The cogwheel hasn't changed. If I wanted to, I could copy this test, make a copy of it, create a copy of it if I wanted to start editing it. Okay. Look, here's my copy with the top. Now I can edit the test settings. I can get rid of questions. I can do a whole bunch of things within that once I make a copy. So I'll go back to my test and I'm going to go just to the one that I made a copy of, and I'll go to the cogwheel and let's preview the test. This is the dramatic pause, everyone. You ready for it? That was the dramatic pause to preview the test. So here's my weekly assessment. I'm going to start it. So a couple things to notice. The students, it's telling me what to do, my directions. The students will have the passage on the left-hand side, and then part A, part B, multiple choices, 2 answers. It's going to have those questions that we see on the SBAC. It's going to have that type of questioning. Part A, part B. If a student needs a line reader, there's all of these interactive tools that students can use as part of the assessment system. Students can also, as they're looking at this, maybe this isn't the correct answer, they can exit off. So strategies for how we do answer questions. They answer, they go save to next. And here is, once again, the same passage. Here, let's pick 2 choices. So as we look at this, students, the format of it is set up like our California State assessment. Okay. As I go through this, I'll just scroll down. I can see what questions I've answered. So a lot of check for understandings for the students. Students have a short answer to do at the end. And once again, both passages are here in one spot for them. So they're able to toggle through. Like I said, set up very much like how our SBAC is set up. That's how the assessments are designed. They're all, the test generator is no longer part of California Wonders. It's now all within just this one spot of online assessments and the online assessment center. Okay. The other thing that I want to point out within the assessments as well is, yes, we have the assessments, but on top of that, you also have something called data dashboard. I'll go to that in a second, but data dashboard, everyone. I just take a moment because I think about all the hours I saved trying to culminate and collect data. What data dashboard will do, it will collect all the data from your assessments and it will put the students in groups based on their scores. So all the stuff that you've done to go ahead and score and, you know, make your groups, that is provided with data dashboard. There's a recommendations report that says, all right, here's how my students scored. You can look at it through like an actual calendar. You want like the last month of assessments. You can look at it by individual assessments. Here's my students. So the number one thing the recommendation report does is group your students. So these students were at the approaching level. All right, so my recommendation report said, all right, they need some extra support. The second thing data dashboard does is put in one spot resources you can assign for those students based on how they did, how the data was collected from their assessments. The third thing you can do is it gives you specific teacher resources to either reteach if necessary, extend if necessary. So I see a few of your faces. How many of you spend a lot of time collecting data, looking at the scores, thinking about this data dashboard? I'm actually going to, I'll send you a follow-up email and I'll give you a actual PDF that walks you through the data dashboard and the reports, all right? And there's a lot of information right now, so I'll give you something that will be in print that you can view later on, and it will walk you through the different reports that are in data dashboard and how it works, all right? So I have your information. You'll be getting an email from me after we've wrapped up with that. Do any of you want more information about the increase space as well? I can send that as part of the follow-up as well. Okay, Tiffany, I see you. So I'll just send both of them for you that will walk you through really nicely the increase space and the data dashboard. All right, we'll do that as a follow-up. I don't want to take any time putting it in the chat right now. So I'll just do it after that. Okay, so the data dashboard is something that is new. So data dashboard, updated assessments, SBAC, inquiry space. The other thing that I do want to show you is I keep on saying assessments with data dashboard. I keep on saying assessments. Here's my data dashboard. Just so you know, data dashboard, I talked about the recommendation report, but there is a grade card report that most teachers I work with use as a conference. You can pull it up by standard, how the students are doing by standards. It's a great conference resource as well, okay? And although I keep on saying assessments as part of it, okay? I want you to know that you can include, there is now a game that collects data. There's a game that collects data and that information goes into data dashboard. So when I go back to my Wonders home screen, the very last game you see every week looks slightly different. It has a little blue triangle in the corner. You're not used to seeing these games. They haven't been there before. This is a new game that collects data that can go in the data dashboard. So it's not just the assessment. You can include this activity based on comprehension to put into that data dashboard. Okay, so it can be more than the assessments themselves. All right. The last update I will give you is underneath resources. I'm going to go to my resource library. This should look familiar. You have the learning loss recovery resources. And for any of you really working on that SEL, that's social emotional learning for our students, there is a built-in SEL support underneath your resource library. It is built in for you to be able to make great connections between by week based on the essential question. So we're talking about relationships and behavior. How do action affect others for this week 2 of unit 1? These are all set up as icons that you can click on and be taken directly to support for it. So kindness, here's support for kindness, as these character labs are built in. So this resource, you can really nicely click on it and be taken to the SEL character lab. My goal today was to get you excited with some of the new resources. Any of you excited about some of the things you saw? Yeah, I know the data dashboard, I still haven't wrapped my head around, because to me it's so amazing that it actually does that. So the data dashboard, and like I said, the inquiry space, the assessments, that SEL support. So all of that is built in for you. As I said, I'm going to give you, I don't even need to give you my email, because I'm going to send you an email. How about that? I'll send you the email with those 2 handouts to support, inquiry space and data dashboard. Email me with anything that you need. And I know the last few minutes that we have together, I have my 2:10 to 2:15. There's a Word doc that you can put in suggestions for further PD time, things that you'd want as a follow-up, any questions you might have. Liz is going to collect that. And if questions, whatever questions come our way, we'll make sure to answer it, and then we'll all go through Liz. All right. That doc is set up for your for Brentwood, and then we'll be informed of anything that we can support you with. Okay, everyone. That was our time together today. That was California Wonders in a 30-minute little blink of the eye. Thank you all so very much. And have a great rest of the school year. I know you're on that downward slide. I can feel it. Enjoy that downward slide. Thank you all.